Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to quickly show you how to deal with zebra crossings. It's just going to be a quick video, so I'm going to show you how to deal with the ones that are single crossing, the ones that have got double crossing with an island in the middle, how to approach them, how to spot them from far away. So if you want to know how to do zebra crossings, stay tuned to this video. The first thing you want to do when you're when dealing with zebra crossings is to spot one in the first place. So if you look ahead here, we've got the flashing orange beacon there that shows you there's a zebra crossing coming up, and also as you approach it, as you get closer, you can see the zigzag lines that shows you approaching a crossing as well. So that gives you a little heads up as you approach it. So there might be some that are a bit hidden as you go around bends, or there might be parked cars around it, so it's really important to look out for those flashing orange beacons like I was saying before. And as you can see, this one's got some pedestrians potentially on the left that we can't see until we approach it. So you approach it nice and slowly, scan both sides, then once it's clear, and you can carry on going. So it's nice and clear now, so I'm going to start moving forward. So we've got the crossing up ahead there. We can see that man going to the middle. Once he's gone, I'm going to check the sides again. I can see there's a lady there with a little kid, so I'm going to wait for them. I'm going to stop like here so they can cross. Once they get to the middle, I'm going to check again, but there's a man on my left here to see if he decides to cross. Okay, he's not going to cross, so I can check again and then carry on moving. So once that lady got to the middle, the only one I was concerned about really was the man on the left. If that man wasn't there, I could have carried on going, because you treat those ones as two separate crossings. Okay, we have another one here. This one has got no island in the middle, so we treat this one as one crossing. I can see there's no one on either side, so I can carry on. If there was somebody crossing there, because you treat it as one crossing, you want to wait until they're finished crossing all the way before you move on. So you want to check your mirrors before you approach their crossing, just so you can see who's behind you in case you have to stop for any pedestrians that are near. So it's good to be prepared by checking your mirrors as you approach. So you want to check all your mirrors, so your center one first, and then the left one, then the right one, just to see who's around you. Okay, so I can see another crossing here, so as soon as I identify it, I'm going to check my mirrors because I want to see who's around me in case I have to stop. And there's a man crossing this, I'm going to reduce my speed. I'm checking the right again for any more people. There's some man and a woman there on the right, but they decided to carry on walking. I can carry on in that. Got another one here. It looks a bit busier. We've got people on the left and a lady in the middle. So I'm going to approach it nice and slowly. And as I'm approaching, I'm going into gear 1 because I'm going quite slowly. I've got some more people on the right here. The lady with the umbrella, I think she wants to cross, so I'm just going to stop fully. I'm going to apply my handbrake just so my car's a bit more secured. There's another lady on the left here with the umbrella as well. She's getting quite close, so I'm going to wait for her. Once she gets to the middle, I'm going to look for any more potential customers, but there's no more, so I'm going to carry on driving. Yeah, and then there's another crossing straight away. I'm checking the left again. I see a man with his bag walking towards it. I'm going to slow down a bit, and there's a lady same lady with the umbrella again with a kid, so I'm going to let them cross too. Once they get to the middle, I'm going to check for another potential crosser, but there's none, so I'm going to carry on. The key is to be patient. What I found with a lot of my learners is they try to get out of there really quickly without really checking what's going on around them properly, and that's quite a common mistake. Or they're not looking properly in the first place for any pedestrians that might be crossing or walking towards the crossing. So the key really is to be observant, look nice and early, and if there are people trying to cross or people walking towards the crossing, just be patient and check properly before you proceed again. So some of the common mistakes that people make when they're dealing with zebra crossing is not seeing it in the first place, not seeing the flashing orange beacons and approaching it too fast, or thinking that the person that's walking towards the crossing is not going to cross, and then finding out, oh wait, they did want to cross. So what you want to do when you see people approaching the crossing, especially if you're going to meet them at the same time as the crossing, you want to start slowing down and be ready to stop, so that when you get there, you're not having to either slam your brake or having to drive past because you didn't think they were going to cross. So if you see anybody walking towards the crossing, to be safe, just assume that they're going to cross. Obviously if they're too far away, then you don't have to worry about them too much. Okay, we've got a zebra crossing here with a van parked just before it, so we need to make sure we can see what's on the left. So I'm going to approach it slowly, thinking that somebody might be there. Once I get a good view, I can carry on because I know there's no one there now. Yeah, we've got another one with it's on a bend here. We've got someone hanging around the crossing. It looks like he's facing the other way, I'm just gonna make eye contact with them as I approach, and that lady again. Oh, she keeps coming back. I made eye contact with him, but I didn't look like he was gonna cross, so I'm gonna wait if these ladies cross, and then once she's finished, I'm gonna carry on driving. So if somebody's by the crossing, like I was just saying before, don't assume that they're not gonna cross just because they've been standing there for a long time. Make eye contact with them if you can, and then if they're still not crossing, then you can carry on. Because what it is, some people will stand and wait at the crossing until you've come to a full stop. So if you don't stop, they're not going to cross. So make sure you just wait for them. Especially if they're standing waiting and looking at the crossing that they want to cross, just stop fully, and when they are ready to cross, they will cross. Here we've got that man coming up from the left, slowing it down a bit, and he's walking towards the crossing, and he's not going to cross. Is he? Oh yeah, he is. I thought he was just teasing us, but he was crossing, which is why we want to make sure that we take our time and stop in case they do cross. If they're waiting patiently for you to stop, don't then use your arms or hands to tell them to go. That could actually put them in a bit more danger than just letting them make up their own decision and going when they're ready. So never gesture at a pedestrian to go across. Just stop your car fully and let them decide when to go. So sometimes the crossings can be quite hidden, so they will put a sign a bit before. I haven't seen one so far around here, but if I see one in a different area, I'll show you which kind of sign I mean. I might just put a picture up in the video. Okay, so we've got one here, we've got another crossing here. I'm checking my mirrors, and I can see there's a lady on the left with a man, so I'm going to slow down because we're going to be at the crossing at the same time and see what they do. Do they want to cross? No, they don't want to cross, so I'm just going to carry on now. So in that situation, that's where some people would fail, because they're thinking that they're not going to cross, so they'll just carry on. But you need to be sure, so just slowing down enough and then stopping, because we got there pretty much the same time. Once I decided they're not, once I could see they're not crossing, then I could carry on safely. I don't want to just assume that they're not going to cross, because they could have decided to cross. So yeah, deal with it that way. We've got another one here again. This one is a busy one. So we've got people on both sides, I can see, so I'm going to slow down quite a bit. Approaching it nice and slowly, keep checking both sides. Looks like there's no one on both sides here, so I'm going to carry on going now. Okay, so this one's covered a bit by that bus on the right, so I couldn't see that man that's waiting there. There's an ambulance behind me as well. I'm going to creep a bit forward, give him a bit of space, and then let him go. Once it's done, there's a man trying to cross there, so I need to pay attention to that as well. So again, I was saying, in busy situations like this, just take your time and look properly, because there might be people that will be covered by other vehicles. And once you've dealt with the ambulance or another situation like that, still keep an eye on the crossing before you proceed. A lot of zebra crossings right near roundabouts as well. That's something for you to be a bit more careful of and think of, because when you come off roundabout, sometimes you get a zebra crossing straight away. So like this one, for instance, once we turn right here, we've got a zebra crossing pretty much straight away. There's some that are even closer than this. This one's not that close, but there are some that are much closer. So as you do the roundabout, don't come out of it too quickly, in case there's a zebra crossing there and you have to stop for someone straight away. So just be careful as you're coming off to make sure that there's no one crossing or waiting to cross. So we've got one here that's blocked up a bit on the right by these parked cars. So it's got two lanes here. So as I approached it, I was very careful to make sure that I check that there's no one crossing, because sometimes the lane on the right will block your view, and if they're stopped, especially in traffic like that, it could mean that there's no one, there could be someone there waiting to cross, but if you don't check properly, you won't see that person. Now when you're in slow moving traffic like this, you have to be very careful not to actually stop on the crossing itself by accident. So to avoid that, so these guys are stopping at the front, you see. So if I was to follow that van too close, I would be stopping in the crossing now, blocking any pedestrians that might want to cross. So you have to keep that in mind and make sure you keep that clear. Treat it almost like a box junction or keep clear section, because you don't want to stop in it and then somebody tries to cross and you're in the way. There are some times when you have to stop on the crossing. This is like when you get to the end of a junction or when you get to the end of the road, like this roundabout for instance. For me to wait for the cars on the right, I would have to wait on top of the crossing there. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to see. So that's the only times really you should stop on the crossing and block it. When you're approaching that crossing, you need to make sure it's clear, obviously. Just like treat like any other crossings before. Make sure it's clear first, make sure there's no pedestrians trying to cross. If there are, wait behind. And then once it's clear, you can go forward and actually stop on the crossing if you need to stop for any cars that have priority over you. So if it's not at the end of the road, you shouldn't really be waiting on it. But if you have to stop on it to see what's going on around you in order to join a road or in order to do the roundabout properly, then you can stop on the crossing itself. So when I look ahead there, I can see at that temporary light there's another crossing there as well, and this one's got a green man and a red man controlling it, so it's got a little traffic light there as well. So you're going to treat this a bit differently than normal zebra crossing. It's just going to wait for the light to go green for them, and then you can let them cross. But at the moment there's no one there, but if someone's there they would have to wait for the green man. But be careful there, because some people don't really see some pedestrians don't really see that green man or red man. They're just so used to crossing at zebra crossings. So if somebody walks in front of the car, then obviously you're going to have to stop for them. But really they should wait for you until they have a green man. That's put there because of that temporary light. It's going to cause a lot of traffic, so you don't really want to be stopping for pedestrians that are right in front of you there. That's going to cause a lot of traffic at that junction there, so that's why they've made it like that. But just be careful, like I was saying before, to make sure that the person that's waiting to cross has actually stopped, because sometimes they'll ignore that light or won't see it and they'll just cross in front of you. And if they do that, then make sure you stop. Okay, so just to wrap up, I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to approach these zebra crossings. So make sure you're looking out for them nice and early. So you're looking far into the distance, looking for flashing orange beacons. Look out for zigzag lines as well. Once you've spotted it, make sure you're checking the left and the right, make sure that it's clear. And once you've done that as well, approach it slowly if there are people close by. And if there are people that look like they're going to cross, make sure you start slowing down more and be ready to stop. Check your mirrors before you do any of that stuff as well. As you approach the zebra crossing, check both your left and the right mirror and the center mirror as well, to make sure there's no one really close to you behind. Once people have finished crossing, look out for more people that are waiting to cross. And also when you're approaching a zebra crossing and there's lots of traffic, just be careful of any people that might be hidden by the cars that are next to you. If you're approaching one that's got parked cars near it, be careful of any children that might be hidden by it as well. So you approach that slowly. If you can't see either side of the crossing, you need to approach it as though somebody is going to be there. So start going really slowly, and then be ready to stop if somebody does come up out of the blue. You don't want to be caught off guard by going too fast and then realizing that somebody is there waiting to cross, or somebody's already crossing. So if you can't see one of the sides, just assume that somebody's going to be there, and so that by the time you approach it, you're going at a speed that you can stop if you need to stop, and you can do that safely as well. Also, be ready for any zebra crossings that are right after roundabouts. There was a lot of them around, so when you turn off a roundabout, be careful not to go too fast in case there's somebody at a zebra crossing or waiting to cross right there. When people are nearby, don't assume that they're not going to cross, especially if they are approaching the zebra crossing at the same time as you're getting there as well. If that happens, make sure that you're thinking about them properly and keep an eye on them and slow down enough so that if they do cross, you can do that without having to brake too hard. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful somehow. Check out the other videos on the channel as well. So yeah, I'll see you next time.